our third session this afternoon is dedicated corridors for investing in a sustainable blue economy in the Western Mediterranean. So we're really going to speak about financing and very important funding issues. I think everybody will be interested. And here with me, I pass the floor to Leonardo Manzari, who is going to be our moderator for this session 3.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. And it's a pleasure for us to have you here because after the sessions of this morning focusing on the activities and the areas of the blue economy on which our WestMED initiative and its technical assistance mechanism has focused, raising interest from the stakeholders. Of course, we need also to provide also the tools which are indispensable to implement the required actions. And tools is, of course, financing, because the European Union financing is providing to the Mediterranean basin a strong support through the Interreg program and also through other funding programs, just like also there is an increasing interest also from private investors. Therefore, as an assistance mechanism, we have structured this session into 2 roundtables. The first one focused on the Interreg program for its regional coverage and also referring to let's say, transnational programs like Interreg Med and Interreg Next, involving also the technical assistance organization like Interac and TESIM, and also providing also an overview of the effort that the assistance mechanism is producing in trying to give a better coordination among priorities across the Mediterranean basin, and also asking for embedding some of our priorities in the new programming. In the second session, of course, we are focusing also on other funding programs and also on the effort of private investors. So this is a bit, let's say, the overview, and I thank you very much, Kathleen.
So we will just, to start really our session well, I'm going to call Philip Schwartz, who is online, and going to present the video of the funding blue economy related projects. Philip, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And first of all, greetings from southern Finland, where the maritime climate is approximately what you see behind me. I would like to thank you all, WestMED Initiative and the conference organizers, very much for providing the Maritime Interreg community such a prominent place at your today's stakeholder conference. And I think this just shows the importance we all attribute to maritime cooperation or to cooperation across maritime borders supported by Interreg. And having a look at the agenda, there will be quite a number of Interreg colleagues, if I use your vocabulary, Interreg relatives from the Interreg community later on participating in the discussion and exchange. So I just have the pleasure to maybe kick off, provide you a little bit of an dessert after the lunch, a little video which we produced with Interreg's Knowledge of the Seas network to demonstrate the added value of maritime cooperation supported by Interreg. And for us, it's very important, even if the video will present you some specific projects, but to put Interreg cooperation, maritime Interreg cooperation into the bigger picture. And that's why we in Interact actually facilitate this Knowledge of the Seas network, where we bring together the Interreg programs, the Interreg projects with policy actors, regional actors, strategic actors, maritime experts, and stakeholders all over Europe. And as part of our activities with this maritime network, we have this year launched a maritime roadshow. Of course, our original idea was that we would come with a truck and drive around Europe, but the situation is as it is. So we have produced 4 different regional videos highlighting best practices, examples from maritime cooperation supported by Interreg in the different parts of Europe. So in these videos and in the video today, we are going to show you in a minute we're looking back not at 30 years of Interreg cooperation, but at the previous, now just closing programming period, 2014-2020, and want to show you a little bit, highlight what can be achieved, what has been achieved through maritime Interreg cooperation, also, of course, to raise the appetite for continuous cooperation in the upcoming program period. Of course, we have in our project database keep.eu over 800 maritime Interreg projects since the year 2000. So of course, these videos, which will feature just a small number of projects, they will not cannot show you each and every project, but they should serve as an appetizer, some best practice cases, give some ideas what can be achieved, and of course, in the best case, trigger the interest in continuous cooperation in the new programming period. So without any further ado, enjoy watching the video and then looking forward to the discussion afterwards. So please play the video.
Thank you.
Interreg is a funding instrument of the European Union. During the past 30 years, Interreg has been bringing neighbours together across borders to jointly tackle common challenges, or to jointly make use of development opportunities. To achieve this goal, Interreg programs finance cooperation projects all over Europe, across member states' borders and even across the external borders of the EU. Interreg finances a wide range of cooperation activities across borders, covering different themes and territories. One important element is the maritime cooperation that is happening all over Europe. Since 2014, over 330 million euros of EU funding has been invested through Interreg in maritime cooperation. This has involved over 1,000 partners working together in 220 cooperation projects on maritime issues. What do common maritime challenges and development opportunities look like?
The northwestern Mediterranean is an area with intense naval traffic. Here, in recent years, many ships accidents were recorded. There is the need to develop better services to improve marine monitoring and sea prediction for safety and emergency management.
In our area, the impact of wave storms and of new types of phenomena like medicanes, which are Mediterranean hurricanes, have strongly impacted our coast in the last years. These phenomena are expected to increase due to the effect of climate change, and we need to be prepared for it.
How can cooperation across borders help solve joint challenges?
News partners have shared their knowledge and have built a monitoring network based on HF radars and innovative wave buoys, but we have also carried out together field surveys on beach and cliffs.
Together with the regional government and agencies, universities, research center, Coastal Guard, we work to enable the sharing of data, methodologies and tools to improve marine monitoring. We develop risk reduction plans and we try to reduce the uncertainties on sea state data and predictions.
What finally counts are the results of cooperation.
I will mention three major results. One of the largest marine monitoring networks in Europe, based on high-frequency radar technology, new services to optimize ship routes by avoiding bad weather conditions, and a new opportunity through AIS-dedicated channels to prevent collisions between ships and whales.
The main tangible results is, of course, the monitoring network we developed. These allow us for the first time to have real-time data on the sea condition in the Maltese Channel. Besides, we have also developed numerical models aided by artificial intelligence algorithms to predict coastal risks.
Yes, maritime cooperation does matter.
The Sicilian Strait has been always a crossroads for people, goods, and culture. Cooperation in our area is in our history, is in our DNA.
The sea knows no borders, and it is a space that we share and we must protect together.
After a successful period of Interreg maritime cooperation in 2014-2020, including the cooperation presented in this video, we have good news to share. A new generation of Interreg cooperation programs is being created for the 2021-2027 period, just waiting for your project ideas on how to join forces and cooperate with maritime partners from across the border. This video was produced by the Interreg Knowledge of the Seas Network. The network is facilitated by Interact, and it brings together Interreg maritime programs, thematic experts and stakeholders, EU and macro-regional actors, and maritime projects co-financed by Interreg or other funding sources. Find out more about Interreg near you at interreg.eu.
Here it was a very good introduction for our first round table, and about synergies between the WestMED initiative and the Interreg family. And for that, I will call Mercedes Arcitors from Interact, please. Sophie Scarvellis from Interreg Med, Aldo Puello from Interreg NextMed program, and Monica Belisario from the Italian Department for Cohesion Policies, National Authority for Mediterranean Interreg programs. Please, and we shall start with Mercedes Asitores, please.
I think there's a presentation prepared, but, okay.
And you'll see your presentation here.
Yeah, if I can see well. Okay.
Okay.
So you've seen already a little bit of what Interreg and Interact is. Thank you of Philip Schwarz, my colleague in Turku. I'm based in Valencia. But I will be focusing more on the work and synergies between the different Interreg programs, okay? My presentation is not only from Interact side, but also from TESIM. TESIM, I will explain you now, it's a technical assistance supported by DG Regio, and it's promoting and showing the way to the Interreg Next programs, which are currently the ENI CBC and the partner countries. Oops, okay, there we go. Okay, so this is a photograph, a mapping from 2014 to 2020. Some of you maybe have seen it already in other events. But here you could see how many Interreg different kind of programs and projects are working. Of course, we all have good projects. I think that today we have listened to many of these good projects. But what makes the difference is the complementarity between them. Being complementary makes a higher impact, and that it's really what will make a better project. It's not good to have scattered projects, but to have them in a complementary way. So this shows a bit how Interreg has been financing different projects in the Mediterranean. And as if you can imagine, well, there's a need to focus a little bit more. There's a need to concentrate, and there's a need to be a bit more integrated. That's the reason the European Commission asked for the next programming period, 2021 to 2027, to be a bit more integrated, not only territorial, but also thematically. Before keeping and telling you what kind of policy objectives the different programs are choosing for the next programming period, I would like to set the context, because yesterday in the steering committee, we could understand that we have maybe different kind of vocabulary, or maybe we don't understand what the others are doing. And today, I think we were discussing about information. Of course, it's key to have information. It's key to everybody the same kind of information, the same kind of concepts. If not, we are talking nonsense. So it was important for us to establish the setting. What is Interreg? You saw two projects before. Interreg is interregional cooperation. It's funded by the ERDF, and now for the next programming period, will also be funded by the external funds, and fosters cooperation between between regions of different member states, but in the future will also foster the cooperation between not only regions of European member states, but also partner countries. And this is one of the novelties for the future. I see, there's the Interreg regulation. So you see that I'm keeping the law. Okay. There are more than 100 programs. So when we talk about Interreg, it's not Interreg Med, which is very popular, or Interreg Next Med, which is also very popular among you. But we are talking about 104, more than 100 kind of programs. And in the WestMED area, 5 of them are operating. There are other 2 that they don't have this maritime dimension, but they also could have an indirect consequence. So from the Interreg EU borders, it's important to mention the cross-border Italy-France. We saw just the projects before in the video. Also exists Italy-Malta, which we also saw the video of a different project, Interreg Med, that my colleague Sofia Scarvellis will explain later on. And for the external borders, we have Interreg Next CBC Italy Tunisia and Interreg Next Med that Aldo will explain a bit further. It's important because in the video was shown that there will be a next calls will come. Yes, but I have to tell you that right now all the programs are about to submit their strategy to the European Commission. So probably calls will be launched. Sophie will explain later on in her case, but most of the and also Aldo, but most of the cases the calls won't be launched before the first semester of 2022. So that's a bit of the idea. Whenever you want to launch send a project, think about those times. How about going? How I am going with timing?
You have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh my God. Okay. But this doesn't
Thanks
work,
for
so
asking.
I have 30 seconds more. Okay. Well, I explained already what was Interact and TESIM. What is also important, and probably Monica will highlight, is that in this current regulation, Interreg has the obligation to contribute not only to macro-regional strategies, to sea basin strategies too. So she will explain a bit further on that. Okay. Wait. I said before, improving synergies in the Mediterranean. Why? For a concentration principle, we need to be more efficient when using public funds. Between Interact and TESIM, we started working on inter-program coordination already 2 years. So we got together 17 different Interact programs working and operating in the Mediterranean, 9 member states and 9 partner countries. And of course, as observers, always WestMed and the use there. And when I said WestMed, it's DG Mare. Oops, I have to have 30 seconds more. I had to do. Okay, now this is the picture. How important is that now for the future? Next programs are with us in Interreg. You can see the first map, right? Something's lacking, isn't it? It's the Southern Partners. So now for the future, we can see that the Southern Partners will be able to participate. We will enrich the projects, that's for sure. And we can see that they have a great interest and great ownership on whatever they are choosing and looking for. So it's nothing that sometimes even maybe the colleagues from the Commission working with partner countries, they have very clear idea what they want and how, right? Okay, this was a bit the process, but I won't go into this.
Yes, because even with the 30
seconds, okay.
seconds
No,
more,
I'm just, no worries. What it was important is, as I said, right now the Interreg programs are going to the in the programming process. So the idea was to have a common text working on synergies for all the 17 programs working the Mediterranean, and Interact and Testing has been working on this. And here are a bit, this is the idea of okay, now, investing in, and I'm 1 minute for sure. Investing in innovation, we can see that research and innovation, France, Spain, Andorra is investing on that. Also MED, Italy, Malta, Italy, Tunisia, and ENI, Future Interact Next Med, are focusing on research innovation. That's the most popular in innovation. Also, we have SMEs and clusters and smart specialization. But we cannot forget that the policy objective of environment is the strongest one, as you could see here, with climate change and risk reduction. For example, in the case of Italy, Tunisia, they're focusing very much in tourism, as the same like Italy, Malta, considering blue and sustainable tourism. We also can see biodiversity and natural protection, also one of the main policy objectives that will be chosen. I have to say that all this still under discussions with the different task forces. And circular economy, another of the priorities. Here we have institutional capacity, which is as popular, but not as much as the previous one. And we have also policy, social policy. And in the social policy, we have to see that the novelty is that has been included also culture and tourism. So culture and tourism is not only horizontal, but also in specific objectives. And what are we going to do next? And I finished already with this. We will be discussing on harmonized types of outputs to find better synergies, the role of transnational and cross-border programs, and we will check on a calendar of different calls, so it will make sense. And afterwards, Anya will talk about the call on tourism, how we could make a bridge of different kind of calls. So this is, next meeting will be the first quarter, and when, where, we don't know. But I'm sorry for the...
Thank you, you did quite well.
Probably Brussels, okay, probably Brussels.
And then I will now give the floor to Sophie Scarvellis from Interreg Meds.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon to all of you. So I'm Sophie Scarvellis, I'm representing the Interreg Med program, and next in the future Interreg Euromed program. So just for those who don't know, the Interreg Med program is a transnational cooperation program covering the regions from the northern shore of the Mediterranean, from Portugal to Cyprus, including also pre-accessing Balkan countries. And we are dealing with innovation, environment protection, low carbon economy, but also with a big focus on the improvement of governance and cooperation in those topics. So just a few words on what has been done so far and what is ongoing in the current programming period, where we have, where blue economy is one of the main topics tackled by the program, with an important number of projects working on blue growth through the innovation perspective on one hand and through the governance perspective on the other hand. And like that, we have a blue growth community of projects gathering about 900 members that made possible to strengthen working ties between the projects and transnational key stakeholders in order to support Mediterranean clusters, to favor the transfer of results and the mainstreaming of results into policies, and with topics that are all in line with the European Commission Sustainable Economy Strategy. We see here maritime clusters, fisheries, maritime surveillance, biotechnology, maritime and coastal tourism, marine renewable energy, but also aquaculture and bioeconomy and funding tools for blue economy. On the governance perspective, so on the right side, let's say, of this slide, we have an extensive collaborative work done through Panoramed and the governance platform Panoramed on coastal and maritime tourism, maritime surveillance, innovation, and specifically blue bioeconomy, and the implementation of strategic projects on these topics. In terms of concrete examples, as here we are talking also about synergies between the Interreg family and the WestMED initiative. We have participated with WestMED to work on specifically the topic of maritime clusters, for example. This is just an example. But also we work a lot with the UFM for the overall regional coordination on topics like the Blue Economy Declaration, where we have identified results of our project that can contribute directly to it. But also, of course, WestMED is participating as associated partner to Panoramed, and we are, as the AES, participating also as observer to the steering committee. So these are just concrete examples of synergies and ways of collaboration. But of course, we are also working, even if we are all, only on the northern shore of the Mediterranean, what is important for us is to work also with the southern shore, so partners can participate as associated partners to our projects, and this is why also for us it's really important to work with WestMed, with the UFM, and with Interreg, AnyMed and NextMed in the future in order to make concrete actions possible also in the south. So this was what we are doing now, and here is what we are programming for the next programming period, and we hope that this proposal will be approved in few months by the Commission. I won't go deep in the details of our topics because we will have our kickoff events on the 2nd of December in Lisbon and online, so we invite you to follow our kickoff so that you can have detailed information on where we will work on, what topics we will work on. For sure, what we can say is that they are directly linked with the Green Deal, with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and that for us, the green is also blue, of course, and the blue economy is central in our program through our green actions. Also, we are working on coordination agreements with WestMed, and yesterday we validated a frame of actions to work together, also with the UFM and the labeling of our governance axis, which is ongoing. And this is inscribed in a general strategy of the program to amplify the results of our projects in order to improve the governance, the territorial and policy governance in the overall Med area. And this is why for us, as it comes from the ground, from the projects, because we need an evidence-based dialogue for improving the governance, it's important for us that stakeholders from our projects and from other initiatives are really involved also in this cooperation strategy we all develop together. Because without these results from the ground and from the project and the stakeholders, our work is useless, and we need really these results, these concrete results from you. So this is why also, and I finish.
Okay.
This is why also it's important for us here to present to you this cooperation, the way we are cooperating. Otherwise, this could be seen as useless for you, but no, because it came from you that we can also collaborate together. And you are also very important stakeholders to make those bridges between the different programs and initiatives, because you are also participating in different initiatives and programs. And just to highlight a few topics, just for you to understand how much blue is our program, is our green program, is that in each of the specific objectives, you will see that there are actions foreseen to contribute to the blue economy through the work with maritime clusters, through advanced technologies, through access to finance, but also through circular and sustainable products and marine products. or in the climate change with what we discussed this morning with maritime spatial planning, which is really important, and integrated coastal zone management. For us also on land-sea interaction, which is important in terms of protection and conservation of the nature as well, and so on and so forth. All this will be also presented in details in our kickoff event. So thank you.
Thank you very much. You've been... You have a brave. And now from the Interreg WestMED program, I'll give the floor to Aldo Puello.
Thank you very much. Yes, I have also a presentation. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting us, not just for sharing our experience with you. I think it is a great opportunity to listen to what you have presented today, to the stakeholders, because stakeholders for us are the main source of inspiration. Therefore, I think that today we got very, very interesting points that we will try to put then into practice through our strategy. And my name is Aldo Puleo. I'm part of the managing authority of the ENI CBC MED program. Work at the managing authority is the autonomous region of Sardinia that has been confirmed also for the Interreg WestMED program. I would like to point out one thing, because the wording is important, as Mercedes pointed out. We are Interreg Next. Next is neighborhood external. Therefore, according to what Mercedes showed, we are actually the picture of the basin with the southern countries. And here is what is about our program. So we have 14 countries at the moment for the 2014-2020. And we manage more or less 209 million euros. This is the map. And you know that we have the entire basin obviously is covered, but only 14 countries are participating in the 2014-2020. We will have one additional country for 2021-2027, but I will show you. It's a surprise in a second. What have we done with these 209 million euros? We have founded projects covering these topics, about 80 projects. We have business and SMEs development, where we have startups, Euromed economic cluster, sustainable tourism. We have 24 projects. We have innovation and technology transfer, where we deal with mostly with the commercialization of research results, but research and innovation in SMEs. And we have 17 projects. Then we have a very pioneering experience for us, because it was the first time we had this priority in our strategy, which was the social inclusion and fight against poverty. Well, we have skills development, social and solidarity economy, and we have 12 projects. And last but not least, obviously, we have 25 projects on the environmental sustainability, and where we cover water, waste, energy efficiency, and integrated coastal zone management. We have been talking about synergies, and we work together with our colleagues from the Interreg MED program, so the one without the southern part in the map. But we do also cooperate with other important initiatives, the Union for the Mediterranean, for example. We have the PRIMA initiative. We have other Interreg programs. We have our cousins from the Italy, Tunisia, and also other Interreg programs, such as France Maritime, for example, and other EU-funded initiatives. They are listed there. I'm not going to read them all, but just to tell you what we do with them. We have been engaged in this capitalization of results exercise. What is it about? Basically, we have a network with the other programs, and we actually discuss together which the main and I would say most important results delivered by the projects are, and we recently launched, and we just awarded 16 projects, a call for capitalization projects, where applicants should take the results that we have identified together with the other programs in order to take the results and further exploit them and work together also with other actors in order to maximize the impact of these results. This is, I would say, an approach that could be very interesting considering what we're talking today. I liked very much the colleague of this morning that gave the example of the sea sea star. I mean, we have different arms, but it is one body. I mean, the Mediterranean is one single basin. Therefore, taking the results from different programs and putting them together is actually a very interesting point of view, and I think it would be probably the best option to ensure that our efforts that we spend in our programs are joined together and to maximize the impact on the territories. These are some examples of capitalization activities, but I invite you also to check our program website where you can find interesting information on specific projects. We host the websites of our projects in our program website, so it is also easy to consult it. These are some examples, but I would like to move to the 2021-2027, so this presentation can be
1 minute.
shared. Yes. To show you what is next. 2021-2027, as I said, we have one actually country that is new, which is Turkey, partially Algeria, because Algeria joined the 1420 program just very recently. We still have some issues to be defined, such as the budget and the eligible area. We do care about the importance of the synergies with the other initiatives. These will remain a must in our strategy, and we are defining now the strategy. What are we going to tackle in the next programming period? And I finish this in my last slide. As you can see, there is a sort of continuity, especially for what we call a smarter Mediterranean, where we have basically SMEs and research and innovation priorities. Greener low carbon Mediterranean, which is the policy objective number 2 on environment, which is, according to our strategy, the most important policy objective, where we have 4 specific objectives, so energy efficiency, access to water, climate change, and circular economy. We kept this more social Mediterranean, but we included healthcare and resilience of health systems, which is something new that it's a pioneering experience for the next programming period. And last but not least, a better governance. I close my speech delivering just one message, and I finish here. As I said, stakeholders are the primary source of inspiration for us, and I was very glad today that many of you pointed out the need for involving youngs. This is something that we will propose to our countries in the next meeting, which is next week. And in particular, we would like to have the young or youth-led organizations not just as final beneficiaries of our projects, but as active proponents and applicants and partners. Therefore, we will try to devote a portion of the budget for youth-led organizations in order to work together with experienced partners, because we believe that we cannot live, especially dealing with such important environmental and sustainability issues, we cannot leave the young generation out. And frankly speaking, as you know, also from the recent debates within the COP26, I mean, there is a huge, also informal movement of youngs that is very sensitive to the environmental issues. And why not? Young people bring innovative ideas, and I think it is important to give them the possibility to share their ideas and put them into practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you on these wise words for youth that are really, yes, they're really bringing it, they're knocking on the door really very, very strongly. I'll give the floor to Monica Belisario from the National Authority for Mediterranean Interreg program, please.
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon again. I'm Monica Belisario, and now in this session I'm wearing the hat of National Authority for Interreg Programs, Italian National Authority. This is in fact a big advantage because with these two hats, National Authority of Interreg Programs and co-national coordinator for the WestMED initiative, allows me to see the framework more clearly regarding the funding possibility, the funding sources for the WestMed Sea Basin Strategy. Mercedes was mentioning that the new regulatory framework defines a more strict defines more strict provisions regarding the how and the possibility for programs to contribute to macro-regional and sea basin strategies where appropriate and where relevant. So, and it is appropriate and relevant when all or part of the geographical perimeter of the strategy is common with the Interreg programs. But of course, this misalignment between the WestMed strategy and the Interreg programs is a kind of a problem because there is no program having the same geographical perimeter as this WestMed strategy. So we worked for almost 2 years now, strongly supported by Interact and TESIM on this how to contribute to the implementation of the WestMed priorities. And the way we found more convenient is to contribute to the strategy passing through the concept of coordination, better coordination among Interreg programs. Mercedes outlined all the efforts that has been done, all the workshops, webinars where stakeholders have been involved, managing authorities, partner states, member states, all trying to also commit themselves to the indication of the Commission regarding the need to better exploit complementarity and synergies among programs. What we cannot allow ourselves to do is to let programs overlap one another so that we do not use always scarce resources in the best way. So we need really to make our best to coordinate among programs and trying to find coalitions among results to improve the quality of results of projects and so increase the impact of the interventions. We have talked a lot on the what, why, and when we should work on coordination. I mean, Interreg programs are quite aware of the need of coordinating. There are a lot of tools provided by the work of Interact and TESIM that are our technical assistants to work in the most efficient and effective way. But some months ago, we just thought that we needed something more. We needed a kind of experimentation of coordination at least among Interreg programs, always with a view to work in an area where other strategies, other frameworks are acting for the same goals. And the idea was to promote a first experimentation, a pilot application of this new mechanism of coordination among programs, concentrated on the thematic, the very wide thematic of sustainable tourism. So by doing this, we, as a indirect effect, we implement the WestMED priorities, and the fact that the next co-presidency, the Maltese Libyan co-presidency, will also select sustainable tourism as a goal to pursue, really is in line with the efforts we are doing to try to work better. I mean, we know ourselves better. We have built in the last years strong networks. We can mark a difference from the 14-20 to the 21-27 period.
1 minute.
Yes, okay. So the idea is we are co-designing this coordination mechanism among Interreg programs. This should be a voluntary mechanism, but it has already raised the interest of many programs in the Mediterranean. Here we have two very big and relevant programs, the MED and the Next MED, transnational programs. Cross-border programs in the Mediterranean are also interested, and our view is to tackle the Mediterranean, the whole Mediterranean. So even if the WestMed is concentrated in the WestMed area, still, we talked with Leonardo several times, WestMed is also interested in any initiative pursuing the WestMed priorities, even if it is in the eastern part of the Mediterranean, because the Mediterranean is our common goal. So the idea of developing such a mechanism concentrated on sustainable tourism is to then end up with more innovative solutions, upscale our efforts, the efforts of several projects, and at the end be able to deliver reinforced policy recommendations to the territories and help modifying, changing the way policy are made at territorial level. Well, very shortly, why did we choose this wide thematic, sustainable tourism? I mean, the Interreg and TASIM made a deep, thorough analysis of the thematics chosen or on the way to be chosen by the different Interreg task forces, programming task forces. And you see, the whole is concentrated mainly on sustainability and on governance under the point of view of innovation, sustainable climate change, risks and disaster prevention, circular economy, biodiversity protection, and what is relevant also is the angle that sustainable tourism as a very broad thematic can deliver thanks to its comprehensiveness and inclusiveness, tackling the thematic under different point of views, sustainable development, social inclusion, economic development, and social innovation. So the link with the WestMed is clear.
There are no minutes left.
So that's why, yes, I will finish very, very soon.
Yes.
But I mean, it is important to underline the link between the regulatory framework, the new regulatory framework, the priorities of the WestMed, and the priorities that the Interreg programs are choosing. And as all these can contribute to a common goal. So, very, very briefly, this mechanism is on the way to be set up, to be designed, we foresee 4 levels of modularity: thematic, implementing, geographical, and temporal modularity, respecting the governance and the process of programming of the different programs. Among the building principles, you can read here. I won't read them, so we save time, but with the main building principle is capitalization. Capitalization of existing knowledge in the Mediterranean. This is the starting point, so we have to work on results already achieved in the current period, in the past periods, and build on them in order to further capitalize and improve the impact of the resources. Of course, this mechanism will need resources under the financial and human point of view. We have some proposals. There are the possibility, the potential is in the program. Interact and TESIM are our assistance mechanism. We have WestMED assistance mechanism that can cooperate together. And the way ahead is on the way developing. We are working as informal working group with France as other national authority. Is really informal and involving the MED, the next MED, the Italy-France Maritime, and the Adrian for the user area programs, trying all together to define how we can move forward, how we can cooperate and put together our efforts in order then to deliver to the single task forces or to monitoring committees when the programs will be approved, and experiment all together the success, the efficiency, and the effectiveness of one coordination mechanism on one broad thematic as sustainable tourism. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, because you gave us, of course, a complete comprehension of what is the process ongoing. And let me underline that we, as an assistance mechanism, we must, of course, foster strong ideas, so capitalization is very important for us. We have to support credible partners, and we have also to orientate towards financial resources. So this job of coordination, let's say, trying to go to a better efficiency of use of resources, and also for us in particular of WestMed to allow the access for southern countries, are absolutely important. And the momentum of now of programming period is absolutely top. It's crucial, but is also making probably to us and for our future job a bit also easier to dedicate ourselves much more on the stakeholders once this job is started. So thank you very much for your contributions and congratulations for the results achieved.
Thank you very much, yes, for your things. And now we're going to run straight away on our session 2 about opportunities to finance the blue economy in the WestMed region with Stefano Dotto, team leader from the EU policies, who will be online with us just in a minute. Anya Deton from Cinea, who's here, I believe, or is online, is here. Okay, please. Didn't meet you before. And Ruben Era, Secretary General, Forum Oceano from Portugal.
And we also invite Enrico Petrocelli as a moderator to join me here.
Oops.
Thank you, from Cassa Depositi e Prestiti. Thank you very much.
Very good. So, Stefano Dotto, you hear us all good? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation to attend this roundtable. I've been listening very carefully, and I think I've learned a lot in just few minutes I've been connected online. I am employed in DigiNear. We work on regional programs, and I'm in charge of projects on environment and connectivity, which means energy, transport, environment, climate action, urban development, etc. I'm not doing this alone, of course. We're a whole team doing this. Our action is inspired by a number of policy documents. And I would say, first of all, is of course, we're inspired by the EU Green Deal. We're trying to implement the external dimension of the Green Deal in the southern neighborhood. We are inspired also by the communication that was published in February last, renewed partnership with the southern Mediterranean neighborhood, and by, of course, all the programmatic documents and political documents of the Union for the Mediterranean. And I was in Cairo last month for the UFM Ministerials on Environment and Climate Action on the 4th of October, which is very much in line with European Green Deal, and where we have agreed on a number of actions that we will conduct together with our partners in the southern Mediterranean. In DigiNear, we run regional and bilateral projects. The repartition of funding is 10% for regional projects and 90% is for bilateral cooperation. So you understand that regional projects are of a relatively small scale, but they're very interesting because we use them to test solutions that can be subsequently scaled up. And these solutions can be of a technical nature, on governance, on management of resources. And while we do not have specific programs on blue economy, with a caveat that I'm going to say in a moment, we have a number of them that benefit to blue economy in a wider sense and from a wider perspective. All our projects address central and local government structures, when possible, individual businesses, and as much as possible, the civil society, and in particular, including young people. And allow me, here in the speeches before, I've noted a number of buzzwords that are all applicable to our project. And I would say possibility to upscale, the concept of synergy among programs, the idea of capitalizing on programs, and the integration among different branches of action. Youth is also one of the buzzwords I heard before, and again, I think we touch it fully, and sustainability. Sustainability of everything we do is absolutely essential in the region. Let me briefly just mention a few of the projects that we're running, and that contribute to the overall objectives of sustainable economy and of blue economy in particular. Of course, the most famous one is SwitchMed. It's an 18 million project program, which is implemented by UNEP-MAP, that aims at implementing circular economy, resource efficient economy, and it works again with a number of actors and stakeholders in the ground, and it has a component for 3 million specific to blue economy, where we have projects on aquaculture and value chains in Tunisia and Morocco. Then we have a project which is very specifically of an environmental nature, which is what we call the WES, Water and Environment Support, which is a 10 million program for the depollution of the Mediterranean Sea, and which also gives technical assistance to the water demo projects that I will mention in a minute. And this program has a specific attention to fight plastic pollution. Then we have the integrated monitoring and assessment program / Mediterranean marine protected area, which is run by UNEP-MAP, which aims at establishing, making the Mediterranean Sea, of providing it with good environmental status. It's a project of 4 million. And then we have a very relevant area of action on transport, where with the SafeMed project, which is an 8 million program starting in 2022, the fifth phase starting in 2022, which is run by SafeMed. And we have doubled the amount for this project to enhance to reinforce the environmental dimension of this project. And by the way, it's through SafeMed that we could ensure an exchange of information on the oil leak that happened in the East Mediterranean Sea early 2021. Then we, of course, have a big program on climate action, which is ClimaMed, which also addresses several layers of governance, but with a very specific emphasis on local administrations. And we are trying innovative means to fund climate action by local administrations. In addition to these, we have a very powerful element in our toolbox, and it's the demonstration projects, through which we found test and innovative approaches. These are generally relatively small-scale projects, but their potential lies in the replicability and in the information that can be extracted and disseminated to the stakeholders who can then benefit of this. At the moment, we have demos on water efficiencies, and we have a special program which we call Climate for Cities, on innovative means to fund climate action of local authorities with a relatively small share of EU grant. These demos benefit of the technical assistance, and the dissemination of their result is done through the two projects that I mentioned before, the WES and the ClimaMed. All the projects that I mentioned before are part of a system because they interact from each other, they benefit of each other's experience. And when I said that we do not have a specific program, with the exception of SwitchMed on blue economy, we do have two major programs funded by the bilateral envelope with Algeria and blue economy on Algeria, one with Algeria on blue economy, fisheries and aquaculture. One other thing that I wanted to mention in terms of policy priorities is the support that we're giving to the establishment of an emission controlled area in the Mediterranean. And I heard that this morning you had a speaker of REMPEC, but I didn't note if he mentioned this. And we think that the ECAMED is a long-term shared objective that we should all pursue and hopefully achieve, the sooner the better. What are we going to do in the future? We are going to continue and of course even scale up the external dimension of the Green Deal, exchange information and support local southern partners in developing their sustainable economies and activities. We are currently programming the funds for the period 2021-2027, and we're seeking convergence between projects on environment specifically, like WES, SwitchMed, etc., and those that are more on the area of economic cooperation. Discussing are ongoing, and we hope that, I hope in the end, there will be no longer a difference between projects on economy and projects on sustainable economy, in the sense that the only future of economy is a sustainable one. I also hope that we will achieve a better integration and exchange between the Interreg and the NDC programs. Sorry, NDC is the horrible acronym for, I have to read it every time, Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument. And allow me to conclude now by reminding that while we do not have a very specific and very well tailor-made project on blue economy in the WestMed, we have a large array of projects to concur to a resource-efficient circular economy, to achieving the environmental objectives that are those of the blue economy, including on transport. And in the future, blue economy should of a better integration and a transfer of knowledge among all the projects that are currently in place, as other speakers mentioned before, and in particular those on environment, be they economy, regional, bilateral, cross-border cooperation, etc. I also hope that EU-funded projects will serve as a catalyzer for more, and that the examples that they provide will inspire other donors that will allow scaling up the projects that we are starting at the national level, and that local authorities will find good inspirations to develop also local projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Just to mention the presentations we are showing as soon as, of course, we have the approval to be shared, we shall be glad, of course, to share with all those who require it. Thank you very much.
Yes, and now I will give the floor to Anya Deton from CINEA. I hope I pronounce it well. You also have 6 minutes. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here. It's been a bit of a marathon day, so I hope I will bring a message which you can still appreciate after so much information.
Sorry, so if you have a presentation.
Okay, yes, thank you. So yes, I will try to run quickly through what I've prepared for you. So let me start with saying a couple of words about where I come from, where I work, is CINEA. Now, CINEA is the executive agency that is dealing with climate, infrastructure, and environment. And I'm here today to speak about a number of funding opportunities that we manage within this agency. So we had the image of the starfish. So if you look a bit at CINEA as a starfish, I will talk about a couple of the arms of this body. I will not be exhaustive because that would take us too far and too long, but I will try to highlight a number of funding possibilities under the EMFF, which is now becoming MFAF, which is the European Maritime Fisheries and Aquaculture Fund. I will also speak about Blue Invest, also funded by MFAF. And then I will use the information which I got from my LIFE colleagues to go into some possibilities which might be interesting for the WestMED under the LIFE program. And then to finish, I will shortly go into Horizon Europe, the waterborne strand, which opens up yet other funding possibilities. So I hope you can all see this. To start with MFAF, we talked a lot about tourism today, also yesterday. And under the MFAF fund, CINEA is now has launched a call, which is a flagship call for the WestMed, so dedicated to the Western Mediterranean, to support, I would say, sustainable, that's the magic word, sustainable investments in the tourism sector. The goal of the call is to tap into the ecotourism market. Second, to boost innovation and digitalization of the tourism sector, also things that we've heard are really promising for the future and for a recovery of this sector. And then third, one of the objectives of the call is clearly to improve the business environment in the tourist sector, so to support SMEs in this sector. Now, the call has two main strands. One is we hope to see projects that tap into innovation in destination management. And the second stream of projects that we hope to find is design of smart ecotourism packages. I'm not going to go into the details, it would take us too long, but in the call text, you will find examples of what these projects could be. So maybe important for this audience is to understand the different eligibility criteria under the call. Important is that consortia needs to include minimum 4 entities from 4 different eligible countries. And there it is clear that we expect to have at least 2 EU member states, but the call is clearly open to non-EU countries in the Mediterranean, in the Western Mediterranean. As we want to support private-public cooperation, one of the criteria is also to have a private sector business entity or an association in the partnership, and to have a local, regional, or city-level authority. Projects should last between 24 and 36 months. You have the available budget on the slide. And the call, that's the good news, is open until 12 January. So those who already have good ideas or partnerships ready that could fit into the objectives, please go to the funding portal at CINEA. Okay. Then the second interesting funding opportunity under MFAF is the Blue Invest mechanism. I'm sure many of you know what this is. It's a bit from a different angle. The idea of Blue Invest is really to boost innovation and to support investment in sustainable technologies for the blue economy. So what Blue Invest is doing is to support investment readiness and access to finance for startups, for scale-ups, for SMEs. It helps to find a path to the market for innovation-led projects, and it really tries to connect innovation, investment, and impact by supporting technologies that address environmental, social, and climate change challenges, so that help us to green the maritime industry. The Blue Invest mechanism, if I can call it like that, is quite complex, has a lot of different components, some of them which are open only to EU, but others are clearly also open to non-EU. And to non-EU, I think of the Blue Invest community, of course, being part of the community, but also showcase your projects in the Blue Invest pipeline. So there's a clear access to non-EU countries. They are listed on the slide. And I think it's worth for all those in the southern countries, non-EU countries who have interesting investment projects to delve into the information that is available and try to get your project into this community and into this pipeline. How am I in terms of time?
1 minute.
1 minute,
Thank
okay.
you for asking.
So I'll be very quick to also present what my colleagues of LIFE have sent to me. So the LIFE program is, of course, much more than marine and maritime, but it's important, an important message to underline that there's lots of marine elements in different strands under the LIFE program. You have them on the slide: nature, circular economy, climate adaptation, strategic projects. So under these streams of funding, it is worth to check out the information, because maritime-related projects could find a source of funds in there. This is just a slide showing how many maritime-related issues have been funded since 2005 under the LIFE program, 124 projects, which is not nothing. Then the great advantage of LIFE is what they say themselves, their flexibility, which means LIFE projects can fund a multitude of issues related to maritime sectors, from habitat to marine litter to CO2 emissions, a number of best practices, innovative projects, and so on. It offers opportunities for small and for bigger, more strategic projects. And it also allows different types of stakeholders to find funding. For those who want to know more, please check out again the funding portal of CINEA, where you find all the details also on the LIFE program. I think important to know is that the LIFE calls do open up their funding possibilities, not only for EU, but also for non-EU countries, with that condition that the actions must have relevance and contribute to the EU policy. And there will be a next call in spring to the next year, and more information can also be found on the LIFE website. Now to finish, and to honor the other colleagues in CINEA who are in the Horizon Europe program, and in one particular strand, those of waterborne research and innovation projects. They gave me some information which I want to share with you, and I'm sure you will have the opportunity to look into the links that are on the slide. So they showcased a number of projects where they think this could be a source of inspiration for future projects in the Western Mediterranean. So they all have to do with waterborne matters, emissions, underwater noise, etc. Important there to realize is also that there is not a regional focus under this Horizon Europe calls, as it's a pan-European program, but there will be a number of funding possibilities which can be really relevant to those who are working on green shipping topics. I have on the slide a number of strands which include relevant topics for this thematic of green shipping, and there is really an open invitation to non-European applicants to come up with your projects and to apply for funding under this Horizon Europe strand. Voila, with this, I just finished my presentation. I thank you for your attention, and of course, look into the CINEA funding portal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For this presentation, I give the floor to Ruben Eras, who's sitting next to me, Secretary General Forum Oceanoid. I don't want you. Do you want to stand or? Yes? Do you have a presentation? Okay.
Yeah. So, good afternoon to you all. Thank you for the invitation to be here. It's very good to be presentially and start meeting people face-to-face, eye-to-eye again. And, of course, we are in the WestMED, and we are very relational. So this is how we make things happen. So going very quickly, so what is Forum Oceano? So we are Portugal's Blue Economy Cluster. We exist for 12 years. We have 132 associates, and we represent 50% of what could be called the blue GDP in Portugal. So we are working to have the other 50% and even to increase what could be the blue GDP. That's our goal. And we consider blue economy, as you can see here in this, as EU's mega sector. Why? Because you can have sustainable food, energy, tourism, leisure, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals from an asset where EU is and its neighborhood is very rich. It can be very productive, but we have to do it sustainably. Also, to say that, I take the opportunity to pitch that next week we will have the Business to See. It's a joint event that we organize with CETMAR, the cluster from Galicia, and probably, why not next year, to have a Business to See with the clusters from Italy. And we'll start also to diversify this with Federazione del Mare and Blue Italy growth. So we'll have very good panels about entrepreneurship, also with the EIB, with also from SINAE, DG Mare, and also the ambassador Peter Thompson, the UN Special Envoy for the Ocean. So I will share the experience that we had with the Portugal Blue Fund when I was Director General for Maritime Policy, and very quickly to share the experience, in practice, what we did. So, blue economy, as we see, is very diverse. And as it was shown by the Sinai presentation, you have lots of sources where you can fund your projects, or you can fund your business. But, so that diversification is also a source of weakness, because blue is also in competition with the other colors, in a way of saying. So there is a need to have some dedicated instrument that, even if it is, how we say, not a lot of money, but it gives the seed money, that ignition money for certain projects, not to be in competition with other more mature industries, and get things going. So in the last mandate of the Portuguese government, the Minister of the Sea decided to create the Blue Fund. So the Blue Fund has 13 million euros per year. It has a part that is allocated to loans, and another part that is allocated to grants. The fund is from the Portuguese state, and of course follows the rules of the minimis and so on. But what we did find out when we implemented the fund, we saw one thing: the seed money in blue economy needs scale. When you, for example, you're going with the technology, seed money for ocean renewable energy, or for wind shipping, or another technology like this, you cannot have the same amounts as for digital and so on. So what we came about? Why don't we do a joint, so a blended fund with the European Investment Fund? Portugal didn't have any, fund of this nature. It will be the first. And why not get the resources that we have from the Blue Fund, some of them, and do a joint initiative with the IF. So we joined forces with our development bank, so IFD, so the GPM with IFD, and we started, talking. Now it is the BPF, so the Banco Português de Fomento, and then we started talking with the IF. And what's the deal that we have? So we took 25 million euros from our fund, 5 million euros per year during five years in a row, and then to be matched with 25 million euros from the Blue Invest Fund. And then we got, a 50 million euros fund. So by joining our national resources with EIF resources. So now it was launched a tender to select 2 operators, Portuguese-based, for operating this fund. These are the operators that from the private sector that will do the second phase that is in there, is to go to the private sector and raise money. And here with 25 million, we get 75 million working in Portugal for ramping up the blue economy. You could say, well, 75 million is not really a lot of money for going forward some projects. But this has several virtues. First, you start to build and educate the financial ecosystem. What is financing blue businesses? What is the risk profile? Because many of these blue businesses in the biology or in other don't have a track record. So finance is, even with the ESG wave and so on, is quite conservative. So it stands out of the risk. So this money is very important for the first losses and also for diluting the risk from the private sector. Secondly, it also, when the startup is, that is not very known, is invested by an EIF logo and by a member country development bank, That gives them a seal of quality and helps a lot to go into the private market and to compete to get more funding and to get its technology going.
1 minute.
Yes. Very quickly, and I know that there is some force of will in Italy to create a blue fund, take into account the EU taxonomy. It's very important. So it's very important that this fund draws the competencies that you already have, which are great in technology, but go a step ahead in aligning and delivering the impact that is demanded by the EU taxonomy. Also, and the last remark, there was a video there, but it disappeared. Next slide. No.
Furthermore, European
we had
Maritime, Fisheries and Aquaculture Fund co-funds the so-called Aspan Project that has just kick-started in May. This project aims to establish an innovative network of Atlantic port accelerators involving startups, small and medium companies, so that ports can be transformed into true blue hubs.
So what I wanted to say is this: deal flow. If you make a fund without having an ecosystem that delivers high-quality projects to be invested, that will be a fund that will be a hole, so, in a way of saying, and you will not execute the money properly. So what I'm going to say, this is the Atlantic Smart Ports Acceleration Network. Most of you have already heard about it. It was for us an honor to have this mentioned by the European Commissioner, Luisa Ferreira, at the European Parliament. What I wanted to say is that at the WestMED Cluster Alliance, we are moving very strongly to create the MED Blue Accelerator Network, the MEDBAN, between the clusters of Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, plus Greece. So it's a mega MED in a way of saying, and Tunisia. And in order to also create this dynamics and to create an innovation ecosystem that connects investors, ports, innovators, researchers, in order to have the right projects of high quality that can deliver a true sustainable blue economy, that can digitalize, decarbonize, and circularize and deliver this value to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Leonardo, I will leave you the wrap-up of all these very rich conversations.
No, I want just to underline that the Portuguese experience of a country which has made of the blue economy its development driver, and identifying the maritime cluster as its implementing actor is giving to our Maritime Cluster Alliance a speed that we would have not had otherwise. And this is also the reason why we asked to the Italian National Bank, Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, if we could open for them this window of, let's say, which is also the result of the technical assistance we've been providing in these years, because in a country like Italy, we still have no blue fund, and also at the same time, still accelerators for the blue economy are still to come. Some are interested, but are not a reality yet. And for sure, the Italian National Development Bank is the first actor to at least involve in this process or in these dynamics. That's why I would like to thank for the availability Enrico Petrocelli, who is the head of international relations at Cassa Depositi e Prestiti in Rome. Thanks.
Now let me thank you all for inviting us, for having Cassa Depositi e Prestiti joining the WestMED Stakeholder Conference. It's a pleasure to be here with you and and to share the stage with all colleagues. I have to say that the amount of initiatives, funds, and projects that have been presented today by colleagues from European Commission and from all European projects, as well as the quite inspiring project presented by our Portuguese colleagues, are really, I think, show the way forward in a quite concrete and positive way. I just want to share with you very briefly a few comments from our perspective as Italian National Development Bank. As has been said, the blue economy can be really a driving force of integration among value chains and business between the northern and the southern shores of the Med region and the WestMED region in particular, and can definitely foster synergies that can go well beyond the purely maritime sector. So we really want to congratulate the co-presidency from Italy and Libya for the WestMED initiative and conference. We think that this cooperative framework can really help countries in putting forward bilateral, interregional, and multilateral cooperation in our common region, encouraging public and private sector to tackle the common challenges we are facing, starting with the climate change. And I want also to mention the very positive and specific Italian effort in this regard with the recent memorandum signed by the Italian technological and industrial clusters to promote blue economy in Italy, but well beyond in the WestMED region. And as said, definitely public development banks such as Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, and together with all other European and WestMED financial institutions can really play a critical role in catalyzing public and private resources and financing projects in the blue economy, complementing the efforts made by the EU institutions, the European Commission, the EU funds, and obviously also the national funds mobilized by all countries from the WestMED region. As you know, we are all together, all public development banks, trying to deal with the post-COVID-19 economic recovery phase for Europe, through the Next Generation EU and the national plans for recovery and resilience, which provide us with a great opportunity with the mobilization, unprecedented mobilization of public investments that can be spent specifically in key sectors such as infrastructure, logistics, and value chains, which are quite key for the blue economy. And in this regard, CDP, being the national promotional institution in Italy, is very much part of this effort, at least for what it concerns Italy, in specifically supporting a long-lasting and sustainable economic recovery. And through our specific CDP Venture Capital, Italian National Innovation Fund, we are providing also specific financial support to the most innovative companies, private companies and startups in specific fields. I mentioned digital, biotech, disruptive technologies to make the industrial system more competitive through accelerator funds. I know that you also, in the context of the WestMED initiative, are looking into the possibility to set up or to create some accelerator mechanism and coordinated mechanism in the WestMED region. So we are very much keen to continue this conversation with you also on this specific effort to funds, to support at financial level the most innovative economic initiatives in the region. But just want to mention that as a Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, we are also playing the role of financial institutions for development cooperation, and in this regard we are managing the public funds of the Italian Recovery Fund for Development Cooperation, as well as we are benefiting from the funds granted by the European Commission in the fields of international development cooperation. Commission to support projects in emerging economies and carrying out technical assistance programs. And we are, on one end, working very much in mobilizing and focusing our funds, our investments towards goals of sustainable development and climate change mitigation and adaptation, as well as we are trying to reorienting our funds and investment with the specific geographical targets towards specifically the Med region and also including the WestMED region, supporting projects on sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, infrastructure, and climate mitigation. In this regard, as already discussed with colleagues, we are so far not specifically engaged on the blue economy as such, but we are very much engaged in partnership with several countries from the WestMed region, also thanks to the European External Investment Plan of the European Commission to support investments in Africa, in the EU neighborhood countries, and we are participating specifically in 3 guarantee programs, Inclusive Fire, Archipelagos, and European Guarantee for Renewable Energy, precisely to support infrastructure projects and support of small and medium enterprise development in the Med region. So we want to definitely continue in this effort, and very much want also to engage more specifically in the blue economy field. We already joined the Clean Oceans Initiative led by the European Investment Bank with specific goal to reduce wastewater and reach by the 2023 the specific goal of mobilizing 2 billion euros in financial projects precisely to counter plastic waste in the oceans. So we have already within this initiative already put in place some specific projects also in the Med region. We are very much also engaged in strengthening our financial initiatives in the climate and sustainable development field, also setting up a specific funds for climate that will be run by CDP. I just mentioned this just to say that we are very much keen and engaged to work on mobilizing public and private funds and to play the catalyzer role as financial institutions, also in the field of blue economy. Just want to mention that in the context of the G20 Italian presidency this year, we led the specific work of networking of public development banks from Europe, from the Med region, and well beyond at a global level through specific initiatives, the D20 LTSC, the club that gathers all G20 financial institutions, as well as through the Financing Common Summit, which is the global summit of public development banks, precisely to reorient the financial flow and the financial investments of public development banks towards sustainable development goals and climate change mitigation goals. And in this regard, we are looking into the possibility to have more specific geographical target and projects also in the region, in the Med region. So we'll definitely want to profit from your work, from your initiatives, to join forces and to make sure that we can provide stronger financial support to all countries from WestMed region in a more coordinated way. This can be done through specific accelerator funds, to specific thematic funds, as the climate fund we are setting up. And so we hope to continue this conversation, to join forces with colleagues from other countries, starting with Portugal, with colleagues from the European Commission and in the whole, and try to build together stronger financial support for all our communities, trying to reorient our economic model towards sustainable development goals. So I thank you very much, and I hope that this will be the first opportunity for long-lasting joint work together. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Enrico Petrocelli. Just concluding, really, first of all, thanks to Anya for showing us many of the calls which are well aligned with the priorities of our technical groups and working groups. Just for mentioning, the horizon are absolutely coherent with what we are doing in the technical group for green shipping. And also thanks to Enrico Petrocelli, because what he showed us right now is that both our goals of targeting a possible Italian blue fund, like also federating the national development banks of our WestMED countries, could be a feasible way to support our cluster alliance and to create a real WestMED accelerator for the ecosystems of the blue economy in the sub-basin. Thank you very much, Kathleen.
Thank you
for
very
your
much
support.
for this session. Thanks to all of you.